Welcome back, everybody. It's finally starting to look like a complete engine again. We've been out here all morning bolting brackets on pulleys. Got to do a few little touch-up painting here and there on this thing, but hopefully today we're going to have this thing complete, intake to oil pan. So run through a few things we've already done off camera real quick for you. We went ahead and installed the oil filter adapter gasket. There's a gasket behind this plate if you didn't know. Some of these are held on by a 1-inch nut right here, but some of them you can just stick a 3/8 extension up in that hole and spin it off that way. So we went ahead and did that, cleaned it up, put a new gasket behind there, so that's good to go. Let's see. I went ahead and installed the timing cover permanently. Put some black RTV behind that. We went ahead and got all the brackets rebolted up, the water pumps bolted up. We did go ahead and install our balancer already. I'll go over that with you. That's a Pro Products balancer. It's a 7 1/4 inch balancer. It's a universal deal. I got the box right here. 7 1/4 inch balancer for a small block Mopar. This gives you the benefit to run it on internally balanced or externally balanced engine for as a 318 or a 360. So we're always swapping and pulling motors out. I figured what the heck, might as well invest in one of these. It's only $100. They give you the counterweights for any combination that you might want to do on a small block. So on 318 it's internally balanced, so you don't use any counterweights at all, but they do supply the counterweights if you want to run a LA 360 or even a Magnum. Say if you're running a Magnum with the and you want to ditch the serpentine belt setup and you want to keep the single belt, you can run this balancer with these weights and get by with it that way. So that's a pretty neat deal. You can pick these up on Summit. At the time I ordered this, it was like $99. So cool deal about it is it's laser engraved right there as far as the timing marks. So you can see it goes from all the way from 60 to 0. So it gives you a pretty wide range, and you don't have to worry about this coming off. It's, like I said, it's laser etched on there. I'll go through and remark my, should have did that before I bolted this bracket up. I had to remark it 0. But yeah, we did that. I drove the freeze plugs in the head, so we only have 2 freeze plugs left to do, and that's on the back of the block here. Once we get it off the engine stand, we'll go ahead and knock those in. So now I think what I'm going to do is set you up on a tripod. We're going to start knocking at the do list out there. So first I'm going to go grab the lifters, drop them in, and then proceed on. Okay, I know it might be kind of hard to hear me right here because the air conditioner's running, but a couple of y'all in the comments wanted to see me install the rocker shafts. So the best thing I can tell you about these rocker shafts, if you're going to take them apart and clean them, I highly suggest that you invest in getting a valve train organizer tray, because that'll help you keep everything in the right location. So, and another thing I do is, before I start a project, I take detailed pictures on my phone and keep them in a folder on my phone. That way I don't accidentally delete them, so you can refer back to those later, because you never know how long a project's going to take you. You might plan on it being a week or 2 deal, and next thing you know it's 6 months later. So with that being said, I take detailed photos on my phone. I also have a note section in my phone where I just type down little notes. Like, say for instance, I marked this shaft with red paint in that groove, as you can see, and in my notes that's labeled, red paint is labeled as a driver's side. So I know this shaft come off the driver's side head, so I can put it back to where it came from. So So that's just a quick little tip for you. I back up everything. I write it down in a notebook, so I have it duplicated in case something happens to my phone. I have it on paper also. That's just me. You don't have to do it that way. That's just how I do it. So as far as these rocker arms, they do have to go in a certain location. As you can see on the table here, when I clean them, I just take them off as they come off, lay them in the same order, clean them, clean one at a time, put it back on. You could clean the whole shaft. If you had a parts washer, you could just set the whole shaft in there and clean them like that, but we don't have the luxury of having a parts washer at the moment, so we do it the old school way. So now I'm just going to start reassembling these rocker shafts. Like I said, took these off one at a time. I also kept the bolts in order. The bolts have different size spacers on them to keep these separated. As you can see here, the front bolt, the spacer is bigger than the bolts that go in the middle. Before I install these, I am going to hit them with a round of brake cleaner just to be sure everything's as clean as it can be. But basically that's it right there. That's how I tackle that part of the deal. There's the driver's side shaft assembled, ready to go, so I'll go ahead and knock the passenger side out real quick. Okay, we're getting ready to do final assembly on this small block here. I'm gonna run down my setup, what I got on the table. I got most of the supplies I think I'm going to need laid out here on the workbench. Just basic stuff. Degreaser, assembly lube, some silicone lubricant. I got my oil and my zinc additive ready to go. A little Indian head slacks to do the water pump bolts with, which we already done. I got my pulleys laid out, which is the main crank pulley is the only one left to put on. I got the balancer installed already. Couple different size hammers if you might need one. The push rods are cleaned up, ready to go. The lifters are soaking. We're going to be running Valvoline VR1 2050 weight. I've seen some people say, oh, don't use the VR1, it's synthetic, which they do have a synthetic version, but that synthetic version is in a black or blue bottle, and the oil is actually like a sapphire blue, almost the color of that top. So this 2050 weight, it's high zinc. We're going to run that. I mean, it says specifically on there, designed for push rod and flat tappet engine. So we're going to do that and send it. We've got the intake gaskets coated in copper coat, ready to go. The rocker shafts are laid out in the orientation that they're going on the engine. Driver's side with the notch facing up in the rocker shaft. Passenger side with the notch facing down in the back. This will be the front. Driver's side, the notch goes up. Passenger side, the notch goes in the back facing down. That's the way it came off of this engine. I know because I took detailed photos. Your engine may be different, so double check. But that should be the same for all of those. And then we got fuel, a few miscellaneous tools, hand tools laid out. Any bolts that we might have left over, those are mainly intake bolts. And there's a couple extra oil pan bolts in there. Razor blade scraper, just some gasket sealant. So looks like we're getting ready to get a little rain shower, but we're underneath the carport, so we're gonna set you up on a tripod here and roll on with it. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the rocker shafts on the passenger side. I have seen people take and use a straight edge to line these push rods up, like a big straight yardstick or a ruler or something like that. This one seems to drop in there pretty easy without any much fuss. Like I said, on this engine, the passenger side, the notch was facing down and it was in the rear of the cylinder head. On the driver's side, it was the notch on the rocker shaft was facing up, and it was on the front of the engine. So, for those wondering what orientation that the rocker shaft seems to be, yours could be different. I doubt it, but just pay attention. I don't see them being any different, but if somebody's been in there before, they could have something flipped around. You never know. One thing you want to keep in mind when installing these shafts is that you're going to eventually run into a spring that the cam lobe is actually up on, so you're going to end up compressing that spring some. You just want to make sure you get all your push rods in the pocket of the rocker arm before you torque anything down. And these only get, I think the recommended torque pound is like 17 foot-pounds. I'm going to go 15 on these. You don't want to bend the shaft on these things, because that can give you, that could mess with your valve train geometry and also give you oiling problems, because these things oil to the shaft. So I'm just going to hand tighten these, make sure every push rod is in its correct location, and then we'll get a torque wrench on it. I just work my way from the inside out, from the middle to the outside, alternating sides. Okay, so we got the rocker shafts torqued down to 15 foot pounds. We're getting ready to put the oil filter on it. We're just going to run a Mopar 090 filter on it. And as far as the zinc additive, y'all, I'm going to be using the Lucas Oil Zinc Plus. Says specifically for engine break-in period. So I'll dump that straight on the crankcase as well. Summit part number 901013. It's just a oil pump priming rod. All it is put this in your drill, and that end, either end of it indexes into the oil pump, so you can actually prime the pump while it's out of the car. So what you're gonna need for that is a drill, and then we've also got a breaker bar with the 1 1/4" socket on it in case we have to spin it over. Like I said, I've got it full of oil. I went through and double checked all my bolts, so hopefully we don't have any leaks anywhere. It's a 2-speed drill. I'm going to start out with it on the low speed. And I did put a little assembly lube in the bushing for the distributor gear, so when it does go in, it won't be going in dry. Coming out here. Oh, yeah, we got it rolling out of the stock arms. I'll make a big ass mess here. We got oil on the driver's side because it's dumping out over here already, plenty good. Probably just tip to the side. So let me go ahead and clean this mess up here. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this valve cover on so we don't have a huge mess on our hands. I'm trying to dirty up, clean the engine already. Okay, we had to stop and take care of a few leaks, but we got that taken care of. We got the valve covers temporarily bolted on. I did see and verify that we are getting oil flow to both rocker shafts, and like I said, we doctored up a few leaks we had around here, and then now if I spin this drill, this is still on low speed, we can get about 70 pounds of oil pressure out of this. As you can see, we got oil in the valley, so I think it's safe to say that we got plenty of oil pressure. And I have spun the motor, like I said, to let oil flow circulate around all the bearings. So now what we're going to do, I think, is double check for the leaks. And I'm going to have to pop these valve covers back off to set the intake on there. The intake gaskets come with these little plastic plugs to help hold them in place while the intake's being dropped on, so it's kind of a well thought out kit. Pretty cleaned up. I'm just going to guide it down on there. I'll get a couple bolts started in it and we'll go from there. And there she is, final product, y'all. Like I said, we still got a few little touch up to do with the black. Got to touch these up. A couple of these bolts I want to touch up that we got them torqued down. Want to do something with that so it don't look so gaudy. Just got the power steering pump temporarily bolted up there. Still got to torque the crank bolt. Got to finish torquing these down and the water pump pulley, but we are beat. It's about 100 degrees outside and 90% humidity, so I wanted to get this thing completely bolted together. So Next time we mess with it, we're ready to try to drop it in the truck. And that's gonna be a fun task, getting that thing up here on this concrete. So yep, we did pretty good, made pretty good progress today. We'll throw a set of plugs in it so we don't have to worry about anything getting down in the cylinder walls. And we've already got the headers repainted, but they didn't turn out so hot this time. They're already starting to flake a little bit. But that's fine. We'll just, yeah, it could have been where it rained, but I mean they was completely dry before it rained on them. They was already rusted, so we might just end up wrapping them with some heat wrap. But yeah, there's another look at it. Got all the bracketry bolted up. I got the alternator in there. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. It's kind of greasy looking. I don't know if I'm gonna paint it or what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be an eyesore on this clean motor, but we got everything else ready to go for it. I gotta pick up a thermostat housing gasket because the kit comes with the small one, and these Speedmaster intakes take the bigger. You can run a big block gasket on that, so gotta pick one of those up and check on see how much transmission fluid I'm gonna need. I think I might need a quart or two of that, and I think we should be good to go. But anyways, thank y'all for watching. Stay tuned for the next video where we install it and then hopefully break it in. So appreciate y'all for hanging around into this long in the video. Like I said, come on back for the next one. Hopefully we'll have it back in the truck. See y'all.